All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to go live in First Australia Land. This is the FRC workshop for Monday night, and I have with me these fantastic girls from Blacktown. How are you guys doing?
We're good.
Fantastic. Okay, so your team 4802, and you're known by the moniker That's UMM, right? Fantastic. So Blacktown Girls High School and Pookie, raise your hands. Yay. And Sarabi. Fantastic. We are so excited to have you with us, and I'm just going to turn it over to you because I know you have some fantastic information to share with all of our FRC teams.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, hi everyone. We're Sarabi and Pukraj, and today we're going to be talking about time management.
Yeah.
Yay.
So we'll be breaking it up into two main parts. We're going to talk about time management for a student in robotics and between school and FRC. And then we'll also be breaking up into how to manage time in the season, in the build season. So
yeah. Okay, we'll start sharing our screen. Do I do it? Okay. Yep. So yeah, our thing's Doctor Who, how to be a time lord. So things that we'll be going through today, obviously we've just had the introduction, and like Sarabi pointed out, managing time between FRC and school. We'll skip the questions, we'll leave them to the end. The part after that will be managing time throughout a season, and then of course we'll have the Q&A. Yep. That's a meme. Yeah. Okay. So it's a well-known fact that time management and time itself is like every FRC kid's worst nightmare. Like it's just horrible because you've got school and you've got FRC, and like there's two things that you have like really big commitments to, and it can be quite difficult to manage your time and allocate your priorities to both of those.
Yeah, so tonight we're going to talk about that, obviously, and we'll show some techniques that we use personally to manage our time between school and robotics, and also some things that we picked up on the way from trial and error on past seasons, so we can share it with you guys to manage your teams as well.
Okay, so managing time between FRC and school. So a question that we want to focus on is, what do you do when you have assignments and exams coming up, but you're at a crucial stage at robotics that you really don't want to miss? So
yeah, so there's like different tools you can use to help you plan out your time and work out when you can do things and get it done on time as well. So one of them is using your school assessment schedule. So many schools give these assessment schedules out to students, so you know when exams are going to come up, and the dates, how long they are apart from, and things like that. So you can use it to make sure you're not surprised when things come up, and to make sure that you know what exams to study for, and then you also know the days that it will clash with robotics.
Yeah. So by, like Sarabi said, by making note of these things, you really, it's easier to keep updated and be aware of what's coming up. And that helps you, prioritize these things out in a really, I think, organized manner. There is also the factor of your study pattern and how you are able to study, and if you have any other extracurriculars on your plate. Those are actually really big factors. If you are a student like me, I need to study really hard. I need a long period of time to grasp certain concepts. So that means I know, like in mathematics, for example, I need to spend more time when there's an upcoming mathematics test. And that is also something you should consider when you're thinking about how much time you need to allocate. Looking at, hang on, this is a maths test, will I need more time than I will need for an English exam, and things like that.
Yep. So that's definitely one tool people can use. It can change for person to person, because you might not like having to know all the things that are going to come at you. It might be a bit scary to see you have all these tons of exams, and especially if you're a senior, you have all these exams coming up, and you also have an FRC competition, and you really need to get the robot finished and done. So having all those things come at you can be really like scary sometimes. You might be really stressed. So yeah, so that's why there's another technique you can use, like a checklist. So this will be organized on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So what happens is that you can just write down like a to-do list for one day or like a week or something. So that way you know, okay, so this is what I'm going to do for today. So you won't get like stressed or like overwhelmed by the things that you have to do. So for example, if you have a maths test coming up and you have to go to the workshop to get the robot programmed, for example. So you know that today I'm gonna wake up in the morning. I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna go to that maths exam. I'm gonna do that. Then I'm gonna come back home and study for that English exam, let's just say. And then I'm gonna go to robotics as well. So that way you know what's gonna come for that week or that day. So it helps you like work on your stress, and it becomes easier to handle it.
Likewise, as a checklist, very similarly, there is the timeline that you can use. Personally, I think your checklist work for you, right?
Yeah, the checklist worked for me because I get like scared when all these things start coming up and like had so many exams and things coming up. So it's easier for me to go, okay, this is one day. We'll just take it day by day so we don't get overwhelmed.
So unlike Sarabi, I get totally freaked out when I see all these things piling up. I'm like, wait, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. And for me, that's just something I can't handle. And that is another thing that you as a student and robotics person need to acknowledge what your strengths and weaknesses are and what works best for you. So I prefer using a timeline because for me, I can see on like, across over a wide period of time, I can see, right, so in the upcoming term, I've got this, this, and this. And then I can allocate certain periods of days or time periods where I can say, okay, so Mondays and Tuesdays will be for studying for exams. Wednesdays, Mondays, and Fridays are for robotics and doing assessment tasks and things like that. So by creating a timeline, you're able to spread your tasks out over a longer period of time, which is different to a checklist where it's, concise to a day. So maybe a timeline will work better for you like it does for me. And yeah, really the thing is that it's spread over a couple of days. Oh, should we move down so that gets to the points? Yeah. Okay, it's probably better.
Yeah, so the calendar and diary. So a lot of people like to keep like a personal school diary where they can write down when exams are and things like that. You can also mush that together with what's happening in robotics.
Yeah.
So you can write down, okay, so the competition is in January, starts in January, and then the competition will come up in February, for example. Just saying. Yeah.
It's not gonna come up in February.
No, it's not.
Like
but
1 month.
It'll be March, but like so you have things spread out for all these for this long period of time. So when you know that, oh, so the competition is in March, I have to take 3 days off to do the competition, and then you've also got these assignments and exams due in the same time. So then you know that, okay, so I have this diary and it's telling me I have these exams on this day, and I also have a robotics competition that's going to come up like a day or two after that. So you need to really have like, it helps you remember because you know that, okay, this date is that's the day that that's the day that my English assignment is due. That's the day that the robotics competition is. So just remembering the days can help you plan it out because you are aware of like what day it is, so you can do the stuff that you need to do.
And the cool thing about having a calendar or diary is that you can pair them really well with checklists or timelines because in a diary or calendar, you're able to, put down like sort of like you said, deadlines and last minute marks like, okay, well, your exam is in 1 week. You really should have studied by now. Or robotics is in 1 week, so maybe you should really focus on that now. And by putting that on a calendar, it's it just reinforces and emphasizes everything else that you're working on. So maybe pairing calendars or diaries with something else will just make time management a little bit more easier for you. So another really important tool that you can use for personal time management is sorting out your priorities, and we mean that in the nicest way possible. So priorities and values are actually something very important. I think each person, especially students, should have, because before you begin the school year, if you're able to order out those values and priorities that you have in order of importance, you'll be able to attend to them in the way that you value the most, rather than being put on the spot and making a decision you might come to regret. So if you're all of a sudden you find out you have a robotics meeting in the afternoon, but you know that you should be going home to study for a test, or prepare for an exam or do some homework. And if you're put there on the spot, you're not really, sometimes it can be really hard to pick, decide, oh, well, do I go and do my homework because that's what I've got? Oh, but I've also really got robotics and I want to go, get the control system set up or something. But if you have those priorities saying, well, no, you know what, today is a Tuesday and Tuesdays are for me to go home and solely study, right? So if you have that value and those priorities set out for you beforehand, before you start robotics and before you start school, you won't have this issue between choosing, right? If you didn't have those values or priorities set out, you might say, you know what, no, I'm just going to go to robotics. And when you get home, you might start to fall behind on your schoolwork. And that can really then, lead to poor time management skills because you develop that type of behavior over time.
It's also important to talk about what your priorities are to your friends and your family, and especially to your team, because everyone needs to know what you want to do, right? So you might prioritize, for example, this maths exam, and you have robotics on that same day. So what a nightmare! Am I right? So what would you do? I mean, you could always try to study while doing robotics, but that's really difficult, especially if you want to be really involved.
I don't think that's ever worked out well for anyone.
It's always one thing or the other. So if you really want to concentrate and you prioritize that math exam, like you've been getting B's or C's or like D's even, and you're like, I need that A. So you have to go home and you have to study. So that's your priority. Your priority has now become that the math exam instead of robotics, right? So priorities can change. It can, but it's important to discuss with your team. So you say, I'm sorry, I can't come today. I have to really do well in this math exam because it's going to go towards something important. So then you have to leave. But it's good that your team is understanding, and you can come back another time and get the job done, or you can get another person to do it for you or something like that. And that's the beauty of the team. It's more than one person. You can always rely on each other and get like things that you need to do. You can get them done as well.
And that's another really important thing that comes into prioritizing is communication with not just your family and friends, but also the team that you're working with, because they rely on you just as much as you are relying on them. So if you tell them, if you're able to communicate with, leaders or mentors, and we'll touch on this again in the second part. But if you're able to communicate with them, hey, well, miss, I'm now in year 11 or I'm in year 12, and I really want to take the time to focus on my studies because I want to do this, I want to achieve this or that. And by talking to them, you're able to communicate to them that, like, your choice might not leave robotics entirely, but you'll just come and go when you can. And by communicating this with them, your team and mentors and leaders are aware that, this person isn't coming, not because they don't want to come and because we can't rely on them, but because they have other priorities and other things that they want to do. And that's okay. I'm very sure that your team will be quite understanding of if you decide to put other things first before robotics. And this being said, everyone has different responsibilities. It's not always picking schoolwork over robotics. Sometimes you might have work, you might have younger siblings and things like that. But in every case, like we said, it's best to decide your commitments and priorities before you start the season.
So in our team for year 4802, we have a policy which is family, health, and school always comes first, right? Because we have students who value other things. Like in school, for example, they might be really like science focused, like they really want to do well in science and they really want to do well in math, things like that. So sometimes it may clash with robotics, even though they do have some similar ideas and things like that. But that's definitely something that we will understand and let them do what they want to do, as well as enjoy the experiences and opportunities of robotics as well. So obviously family and health is really important to every person. So it's always important to be healthy and have a good relationship with your family before you can actually commit yourself with robotics, because we know that robotics is something that takes up a lot of time. And it can often like make people feel stressed and like
it can be quite overwhelming sometimes.
But it's fun.
It's really fun.
We love it.
To know that as much as it comes with those things. So having this type of system or policy in place within your team, it lets the team members know that taking a break or putting other things first before robotics is a completely okay thing. And in our team, we really value that. You know, we really try to get through to every girl in our team that, hey, you know, if you've got something going on at home, with your health or with school, you know, feel free to take some time off and go focus. And, you know, by communicating this, like we said before, with the team, you know, it helps not only just let them know that, okay, this person isn't ditching us, but it also helps create almost like a roster, or helps, it lets the team know, okay, so we're one person short on code, on software. So maybe if we can, if the other two of us can try to, you know, come in a little bit more to fill in the spot, to, like, you know, help with the workload that they would have been taking over. So it just helps because you can, you know, rotate and put in another strategy as a team so that you don't fall behind. And we'll come to that in this next part. Yeah. So yeah, personal time management tools, like, it's not that you just have to use one. I think a combination of these really work. Like, I like using timelines and calendars, and obviously sorting priorities. That's one of
I think sorting priorities is important for every person because it's individual for each person. It's different for each person. So it's important to know, like, sort out your priorities before you come in, and like then you get confused and it's not, and stressed. So if you want to avoid that, it should be planned.
So these all will really help you, I hope, manage your time personally between school and robotics. And you can apply these to other extracurriculars and things you have going on as well. You know, I think they're very handy. And they're not very difficult to carry out. You know, a checklist, you can, you know, while you're on the train, you can just type it out.
Jot down what do you need to do today or tomorrow.
And like school assessment schedule, I think they give it to you like in year 10, 11, and 12. And timelines are good, you know, if you like are able to combine checklists.
And it's more visual as well. It depends. Another thing is like, what kind of learner are you? I personally just like to see things quickly and just go, okay, it's there. Some people like pictures and things like that to convey what they need to do. So it depends. I just want to see things and just read it and just do it. So it's different for each person.
It's like, you know, there's an emphasis on personal time management tools. You know, it is all personal, and everyone has different factors. Like, you know, Sarabi said, the way you learn, the way you see things, the way you like to interpret things,
and your study patterns.
Your study patterns. So acknowledging what works best for you, and then utilizing those things, those traits that you have, to their best possible, like, you know, maximum, potential strength, I guess, is really helpful because, you know, you're able to manage time the best way possible for you, you know, because these things will not always work for anybody else, for everybody, sorry.
So we'll move on to the second part. All questions will be answered at the end, so we'll just skip on to the next one. Okay. So
the things that we're going to talk about in this one, managing time throughout a season, and as a team, as an FRC team, how you can manage your time through the season. So things we'll talk about in here are, do you want to?
Okay, so we have other tools that we can use to organize time in a season, like Gantt charts and timelines, of course. So we've also we've been using trial and error and recently implementing these things into our season goals. So usually on the first after the game has been released, we all sit down and we come up with a timeline and go, okay, so this is what we want to do. So after we know what the robot wants to do and other things that we want to achieve in that season, we make a timeline and say, okay, so we want this done by this day. We want this done by this day. So that way the whole team knows what's going on, what needs to be done. And
other things, other tools would be briefing and having frequent team meetings that aren't solely focused on the workshop and build and relation to the robot. And goal setting and communication are also very, very
communication is
huge. Communication is so important to manage time, especially as a team, because it's not just one person. And leadership and team structure are also really, really important. All of these things, like we said before, it's best to utilize as many as you can, but only really utilize what works best for you. Not try to force anything.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So normally what we do, so we've already talked about Gantt charts and timelines are fairly self-explanatory. You just create one, and like it's good to use like things like Google Google Sheets, which is like you can let the whole team contribute to it. The whole team has access to it. Everyone can see what's happening and when it's going to be done, things like that. It's a good it's a tool for scheduling tasks, right? So yeah, so and timelines as well. Yeah. So let's talk about briefings and team meetings. So what we do is before our season starts, we gather the team around, and the team leaders usually give this presentation. So what happens is we make a presentation and we outline what we want the team to do, and this is based on the previous season or seasons, like what happened at that time and what we can improve on this season. So what normally happens is we'll have so for example, like last season we decided that every time we do something we need a plan, we need a design, because things were not really going on like molding together really well, because some people would know what to do, some people wouldn't know what to do. So it's important to have this plan, this diagram done, so the whole team can see it and the whole team knows what to do. Right. So we made that our goal for this season, and so far it's been going pretty well. Everyone has a design, everyone does prototyping before the actual design is made, and I know a lot of teams probably already do this, but we normally just come in and go hands-on, and it works for us, and it worked for us for a while. And as the team expanded, we thought it's not gonna work as well because we have more people.
And that's something that goal setting is something that needs to be done quite consistently and quite often. You can't do it at the beginning of the team's formation and then just never touch on it ever again. I think the Citrus Circuits, I think Mike Corsetto from the Citrus Circuits did a really nice talk on goal setting as a team and how they do it at the beginning of every FRC season.
So what they like to do is they like to say what the robot will do and also what the robot will not do. So that way people don't get carried away with thinking I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this as well. And then eventually what happens is that the robot is going to want to do everything. And that becomes very difficult to manage and get done by then, but with the time constraints.
Because with FRC, I think everyone's very passionate about it, and it is quite easy to get carried away, because you always want to keep doing more, you want to learn more, you want to do more, you just want to get better and better. But by having those goal settings, those goal setting meetings, you're able to communicate with the whole team. The whole team together can come to agree on these certain things that they say, right, we will do this and we will not do this. And what that does, it stops any friction in the team. Everyone is agreeing on what's there, and you can't really complain as a team after that, oh well, I really want to do this, but you can always refer to the goal setting that you did. And by having goal setting, it really helps you stick to the road that you've planned, with the timelines that you did earlier in the year. 2 weeks from after those timelines, someone might say, well, I really want to add this onto the robot. And as soon as that happens, and if you don't have those goals set, your team will be like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And then now all of a sudden you're doing something that you didn't plan for. You're doing something that you didn't allocate time for. And now it's eating into the time that you did allocate for other more important tasks that you did plan, and that is something that we really need to be very careful of. For example, like with FTC, if we say, okay, we just want to be shooting in the middle goal, that's all we want to be doing, we don't plan on touching the wobble board at all. And then in week 3 or week 4, your team's like, oh, well, our team was like, well, why don't we do this? I think we have space in our robot, we can chuck this mechanism on. And if we hadn't done goal setting, we probably would have done that, because as a team, we're like, oh, that's so cool, why didn't we think of this earlier? And you decide to do it, and now that eats into your time that you might allocate for awards, for PRM, you might want to do some media and outreach. And it's really important that by having those goal settings, similar to sorting out your priorities, you have those values and commitments set out before you begin, so you cannot get carried away, and you can't becomes hard to make decisions that you might come to not like, or that might have a bad effects, like poor time management.
Yeah, so we also skipped over like team bonding exercises. It's gonna be pretty brief, but what we do is we like to gather as a team, and then like we can go to like watch a movie, do bowling, or like order pizza and like the works normal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it helps us like know everyone because
Yeah.
not all of us come into robotics knowing each other, even though we do go to the same school. So it's nice to know everyone.
Yeah.
I've made some great friends in robotics, and I guess I wouldn't have met them without doing robotics. And it's great to see the people, and it definitely does wonders to the working environment.
Yeah.
Because you know them and you know what they can do, and as a leader and as a friend of a group of people, you can really know like what this person is capable of doing, what this person has potential of becoming. And it's great to see everyone working together as a team. And yeah.
Team bonding, I think, really also leads into goal setting.
Yeah.
Because once your team gets to know each other,
we know what everyone is expecting.
And it helps be more agreeable and come and like settle on certain decisions. So yeah, I think team bonding is quite important, especially I think equally as important for big and small teams. It might be a bit difficult for bigger teams, but you can always split that up into subsections.
It's also even if you are split into different sub teams, like a lot of teams do that. We do that too. So we have like a coding programming sub team, we have electrical sub team, mechanical sub team, CAD sub team, and media sub team, media and outreach sub team. So we like to gather as a team together because sometimes we don't see everyone. Because mechanical work will be working in a workshop, code might be working somewhere else, and media might be working in another place. So we don't always see each other. So team bonding lets us like bridge those connections anyway. And we talk with everyone as a team, might be through text, might be through another like media format like Slack, for example, what we use. So like team bonding really like knits us together like as a team. So we're not afraid to approach anyone at any time. So
and it can be quite daunting, I think, especially in terms of FRC, if that is when your team introduces rookies, new students. It can be quite daunting for them to look up to really older students who are talking about words they don't even know. Especially if they're new to robotics. Hearing people talk about things they don't know, it can make them quite afraid sometimes. Or just not confident enough to approach other people. So like Sarabi said, it really knits everyone together. And I think it even gets everyone in the mindset, like, right, we're getting into FRC, and it gets everyone, really ready to go.
And people know like something's gonna happen. So like if you don't have a meeting or you don't like get together very often, people like tend to forget or like don't brush up on what they need to do, things like that.
It gets everyone engaged and ready to go before the season begins. And that's quite, that's pretty important.
It's important because when we start, we like to start fast and we like to keep going.
That is the thing with FRC, that there is limited time to do something that is quite amazing,
It's very exciting as well to be able to achieve something. And when you look back on it, you think, oh, this is great. And why did it happen? Because the team is bonding.
And like, by team bonding, you're all in the right mindset, you're all ready to go, which means, you're not wasting any time, getting your head into it, getting ready for the FRC game. You're like, oh, okay. And then by week 1, you're really getting into it. If you, are all ready to go before the season starts, you get into it straight away and you're not wasting any time. As a
so
team.
that's like goal setting as well. So
goal setting, really helps with doing timelines. And to-do lists, because everyone is aware of what needs to be done. And I think we have, like, this leads into communication now, but we use Slack
we
as
use Slack.
your main form of
so everyone is on there, everyone talks, and each day we post like a summary, a quick summary. What have we done in this meeting? What should be done in the next meeting? This way, people who haven't come to that meeting because of previous commitments, as we have understood from our part 1, that they will understand what happened in this meeting, and if they were to come to the next meeting, they know what exactly to do as well. So having the whole team in constant communication is important because it brings ideas and brainstorms, like things like that. Connectivity is improved, and again, it leads to being able for other people to approach other people because they have communication. So it's good to put up the team meetings on there, so everyone knows like the times to come in, come out, things to do. And there's less issues that arise from good communication because everyone's talking properly. If everyone was talking different languages, then
it'd be
nothing would
difficult.
happen.
You wouldn't really understand. Same thing goes when there isn't proper communication. Like it leads to miscommunication, which is we all know is not great, especially in FRC when time is limited. You want things to be as effective and efficient as possible. And if people aren't communicating, people aren't talking about what's being done, what isn't being done, what they're struggling with, what's going really well, I think it becomes, people tend to disengage, and then you might find that your team is not being as efficient anymore.
And it might end up leading to just 1 or 2 people working on the robot, and everyone else is lost in misunderstandings, and it's not really good for the whole team to talk around.
So what Sarabi and I tend to do is our lead mentor, Mr. Johnson, he puts up like a note, not a note, but a message on Slack where he, like Sarabi says, identifies where the meeting is, when it is, and what will be done. And what Sarabi and I do, we reply to that message for every meeting, and we do a recap of what happened, what went well, what didn't go well, and what needs to be done next time. And it keeps people engaged, like especially if you're not able to go into the workshop, like which is the case for some people right now.
Especially in these times as well, it becomes difficult to.
So especially if you guys are working remotely either that that might be as a whole team, the whole team is working remotely, or maybe it is just a few people who find it difficult to attend, and that's always going to happen. People can't always come. It's very difficult to expect 100% attendance from every single student, every single person in your team. So it is helpful to by like do recaps on your main form communication platform, because what happens is those people who are working remotely are actually kept updated and they know what's going on. And like we pointed out earlier, it becomes difficult to disengage because people can now come into the workshop whenever that may be. That might be once a week, once a fortnight, but whenever they come in, they're still updated of what's going on. It's not like they've missed out on anything, because you've put recaps up on your communication platform and everyone is aware of what's going on.
So and also we'd like to take pictures and send videos of robot moving, driver practice, other fun events and important milestones of our robot, and it's nice to see everyone react to it, even people who haven't come, and they're really excited that things have happened. Also, it's a great way for older people in your team who have graduated, like alumni students, to see what the team is doing, and it's nice to see them still engaging in what the team is still achieving. And it also allows them to give their advice to us as more experienced members. So we learn a lot from that, and it's great to see everyone talking and communicating and enjoying these moments.
So also what we mean by less issues arising when there is good communication is, like we said, if someone is working remotely and they're only able to come in once a week, when they do come in, if there is good communication, if they are kept updated of what is going on in the workshop, they will know exactly what to do when they come in. And very little time will be, used to explain to the whole team, which might be done by a mentor or a leader, but you won't need very much time to say, okay, so this is what happened last time, this is what we're doing this time. Everyone's just able to get straight into it, and you don't waste any time like that. You might only spend 10 to 15 minutes doing this, but it really does actually end up using a lot of time, because it takes time for everyone to get settled in. And also another thing that we find is sometimes people come into the workshop at different times. And if that's the case and people don't know what's going on, the lead mentor or leaders or, just people working in the workshop in general have to take their time out of the task that they're doing and focus on them and introduce them into what's going on today, what's being done in the workshop at the moment, and then catch them up on everything.
Especially for rookies as well. A lot of them don't know what's happening. It's new to them and things like that. So if they see that something's happening each and every meeting, and they look at it and they understand what's happening, it's easier for them to know where to go, who to go to, and like what's expected, so they don't get surprised and they don't get thrown into the rush.
And Yeah, and like, if everyone knows what to do, knows what to do all the time, it means that, the tasks are being completed at the time, they're supposed to be completed. You're not running into anything, hopefully, if everyone's following and communicating quite well.
Yeah, communication is really important in our eyes as a team. So we like to make sure the whole team is understanding and like everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
So it's a good time management tool because everyone knows what to do.
Yeah.
Less time is lost when we have to when we don't have to explain to each and every person what needs to be done.
Yeah. And if you feel as an individual that you're not understanding what's going on, or if you feel a little bit lost, we highly encourage you to go and talk to leaders or co-members or mentors to catch yourself up, especially if you weren't able to come, and if your team doesn't have a big platform of communication. Really try to make sure that you as an individual are doing your best to keep in touch with everything that is going on with the season and your robotics team, even if you're not able to attend all the time. It really does help out everyone else.
Yeah. So to move on to leadership and team structure. So in our team, we have a unique kind of set out. A lot of teams can use this thing. I don't know if it works for everyone or anything, but in our team it works very well. So we have specific sub teams where people specialize in and things like that. But a lot of people in our team like to merge into other areas. For example, I am in software, but I do CAD. And I do some electrical as well. So when you merge into other areas, and we all know that robotics is interrelated, because what happens is we end up building one robot. Everything goes into that one robot. So knowing different areas can help one person like understand how this whole process is happening, things like that. It also helps when not everyone in your team can come and you might have to fill in for another person.
Yeah.
Your experience and your knowledge in different areas can really be a big asset to a team because you are able to, you're fluid basically. You can move into different areas and things like that. And of course, at the end of the day, you picked up so many different skills that are really cool and really important to like any job or like especially for robotics.
Yeah,
it's really nice. And Bookie here, she's in electrical, she does some mechanical work as well, and she's also a bit in software too. So she doesn't like
sorry
it,
guys,
but
no, software is really awesome. I just struggle.
It's all right. So so like having a fluidity in like what one person can be in a team is really important, because now everyone gets all these skills, and it's nice to see people develop into different areas.
Yeah.
Of course, at the end of the day, we do specialize in different areas. Like I specialize in software, and she specializes in electrical, and like you end up leading in that area, but as a like experienced leader, but you can always overlap, and it's like nice to just come in and say, oh, hey guys, what are you doing? You're doing electrical? Cool. I want to know what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Can just give in a hand and things like that. It's nice.
Yeah, it's good. I think in general for every team member to know a little bit about all the other subsections and things that are going on in their team, because you don't want to be ignorant, because this is a robot that you are making as a team. It's not just you do your part and that's it.
Yeah.
So like Rabi said, that's really important. And in terms of leadership, I don't think our team has any
specific
leadership.
Like no one really votes for a leader or anything.
We don't.
It's just people who have more experience. They kind of rise up and take into the position.
Or just
leading.
people who are comfortable with doing that, like talking to people, listening to people, and helping them out, and helping just guide the team in a way that they're comfortable with and everyone else is comfortable with. Is we consider a leader, because that's what leaders do. You help other people, you listen to them. And you communicate really well.
Yeah, and as for the O2, we define leader as someone who has experience.
Yeah.
Experience in any field. Like you don't have to be an appointed leader from the team. You just need to know what's happening here and have knowledge and things from previous seasons that you can give to other students or other people on the team.
And I think it's important also to remember that experience doesn't necessarily come from doing something for a long period of time. Sometimes it just means that you're very dedicated, and you're really passionate about what you do.
You give a lot of time after school.
Yeah.
Even though you have all these assignments and exams, you still try to take interest in what robotics is, and you learn a lot about that.
Yeah.
And so being able to teach and give experiences like this to other students is also a really important part of the team, because handing over our knowledge and experience to next generations is really important for our team to keep going. And so we take so leadership is a really important responsibility, so we can actually give the skills to other people.
Yeah.
And also, since we are a team with one main mentor, it becomes really difficult to communicate the whole team with the mentor and to the team. So what happens is these leaders are able to communicate with the mentor and share the ideas with the whole team, so that way that everyone knows what the team is heading to. And
so communication and leadership really sort of come into one another, because you really try to ensure that, particularly with large groups, a leader should know about everything that's going on, because they'll be able to delegate tasks effectively so that everyone is occupied and contributing, which means that if you have more people doing work, you're maximizing your team's efficiency and capabilities. Because if people are coming in, again, this comes in with communication. If people are coming in not knowing what to do, and the leader doesn't know what to do, I don't really think anything's going to be getting done, because at least if you have a leader who is aware of things that are going on, they'll be able to guide and delegate tasks to the team.
So having at least one leader at every meeting is important, so that everyone, so it can lead independently in small groups to get tasks done quicker and more efficiently, and with more people involved and interested in the tasks. So and it's also an easy way to get advice from different leaders and mentors and things and people like that, so we can move between sub teams and get work done and have fun.
And another thing I think we should talk about that we didn't put on this PowerPoint, this Prezi slide, was that having expectations, not rules, having expectations for the workshop and the team in general is another really crucial and component that helps with time management. And this, it involves obviously both leadership and communication. Having expectations set out helps stop wasting time in the workshop, because small errors and small miscommunications, they're really, you avoid them, and those small things actually do end up using a lot of your time that could be spent on doing something else. For example,
for expectations as a team, we have the expectation that every member is safe. So we follow safety procedures to make sure everyone is safe, because of course that's really important for the safety of each person.
So if you're working with batteries or just the control system in general, you've got when you step into the workshop, have your safety glasses on, right? And when we see someone, when our mentor or just anyone sees another person working on robotics, work in the workshop without the safety glasses on, it does lead to this problem. It's well, why aren't you wearing safety glasses? It is something that you are expected to follow and you're expected to do. Then this often leads to it can be quite tiring for us students, especially your mentor will sit you down in the middle of your meeting after they catch someone not wearing the safety glasses, right, why weren't you wearing your safety glasses? Do you realize what this does for the team? It does not,
it takes more time to do that. So as a team, if you have the expectation that everyone should wear safety glasses, it doesn't become much of an issue, because now everyone is wearing safety glasses. So no one is wasting time taking people out and explaining to them the importance of wearing safety equipment.
So those tangents that your mentors or head leaders might take, they might seem kind of oh, this again, but they are quite important. And if those, you don't have to listen to those things if everyone just follows those expectations and is able to meet them. Another expectation we have is, again, good communication. If you can't come, you can't come, and that is totally okay. You are not expected to attend 100% of the time, but what you are expected to do is, if you can't come, you just let you let a mentor, you let a leader know, I'm I won't be able to come in tomorrow or on Friday or all of next week. And, we just said, all right, that's no worries. Thank you for letting us know. And by having that communication in place, like we mentioned earlier, it allows for rotation, it allows for, just proper functioning in general, and it stops wasting time.
Yeah.
So, without having like a properly guided or like managed team, things tend to fall apart sometimes, and this is speaking from experience. Like if your team is working fine without a designated leader or mentor, or like some form of guidance, that's really admirable, and you should keep up, keep doing what you're doing, because that's amazing. That's a really good trait for your team to have.
Very independent.
So keep working on that.
That's good. But like, especially for a team that has a lot of rookies coming in every year,
or just a bigger team
difficult.
in general.
Yeah, bigger team. It's very difficult to have the whole team being able to lead itself on its own without much of mentor help. But for a larger team, the team structure should be like some people who do lead, and it gives good opportunities for the students to go into, or like the team
learn skills just outside of robotics, because
it's helpful in any job you take.
Like we all know robotics is it's such a versatile extracurricular and program, because you learn not just things related to robotics and STEM, but also really important skills and knowledge that you can use outside of the workshop and in your everyday life.
So although we do have a lot of the team that's run by students, and that's really great part of our team is that a lot of the students in like their year 10 or 11th year, not 11th year, but like year 11, they take on the leadership role, and they start to like run events and things like that. Obviously with the supervision of the mentor and things. But it's nice to see them actually getting people and like leading them and telling them, like giving experiences and things like that. It's always a good experience to have that kind of opportunity. So
So like we said before, with the personal time management tools, with team time management tools, it is a good idea to use more than one and really only use what works best for your team. Your team briefings and team meetings for you, like consistent, like very constant, like once a week briefings and team meetings, might not work. You might work better having them like once a fortnight. So don't force yourself to have them once a week, because then that's not managing your time.
It should be suited to what you think your team is like.
Because it's quite important to remember that each person and each FRC team is very, very different. So what works for us as 4802 might not work as amazingly for you guys. So hopefully these tools, if you're able to go through them and take a look, you can, as a team, because goal setting, communication is very important. As a team, you can come to a decision and agree on what will help you manage your time better. And as an individual, sit down and look at yourself and go, right, well, I am a person who learns visually, or I'm a person who doesn't really need that much time to learn a concept, but I do need to practice quite often. So instead of setting out like 2 hours for a certain event, you might just do 30 minutes every day for a week on a certain activity, so that you are able to pick up everything the way that you pick it up best.
And so with goal setting as well, that where you want to end up being, because you have this robot idea in your head. The whole team does, and everyone's come up with this idea. So where you want to be at the end of this. And how long you have. You have 6 weeks. So the speed of your team is equal to the distance divided by the time. And so now you've worked out a timeline, a very rudimentary timeline that will work for your team to tell you what pace to go to, how many people, how many groups you should have to work on these projects that will help you achieve the end robot and things like that. And although we do keep referring to the robot in general, it can be the same for outreach programs and things like that.
Definitely. It's not limited to just the robot. You might want to do this as awards. You might want to apply this goal setting even to like assessment tasks and school. You have like you might say, right, this year I really, really want to be getting A's in maths all the way through, and this will help contribute. If you've set this goal for yourself, and again, this merges into priorities. If you set this goal for yourself, you will know that I really have to dedicate my time to mathematics because I want to be getting A's.
So in outreach, so you say, okay, I want to win this award. I want to win this award in this competition. So what do? You have these goals. you go, okay, I need to get, if it's an outreach award, okay,
Mhm.
let's plan outreach events.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do in the community in this time,
Yeah.
or like,
And that comes into timelines, and doing charts, and like planning and doing calendars and things like that. So hopefully these things will help you manage your time better as a team. I think the biggest one on here would probably be communication, because it is so important. Like we point out, it avoids small errors which often lead to bigger problems. And
a lot of things affect the whole concept of communication as well, because like if your goals aren't set and the team doesn't know what to do, that's miscommunication. If not everyone tells people like that they're not going to come to this meeting, and everyone's lost in like, where's this person, why, I don't know what to do now because this person's not here, that's miscommunication. And when there's no leadership, no guidance or anything, so a lot of people become lost and things like that. Miscommunication. It's the same idea for companies. You know, like a lot of companies lose track because there's no communication. So robotics kind of is a team that's very similar to like how a company would run, right? We have all these employees and we need to get this product done, which is a robot. So how do we manage our time as a company and as workers? How do we get this done? Well, of course, it's more difficult now because it's not a 9-to-5 job. It's school, and then after school.
And also the fact that not everyone is able to see everyone. A lot of us. There is the fact of,
and we're not getting paid.
We're doing it for fun. That is the
that's paid.
So I think time management is quite an important part of FRC, because there is a limited amount of time, like we said at the beginning, to do something that is truly amazing. And it's difficult enough as it is, I think. So to be having like quite a few things on your plate, especially if you do like other extracurriculars, you might do a sport, or you might have commitments at home. It can really feel like it's starting to pile up sometimes on a personal level, and you feel quite stressed and you don't know how to deal with things. So hopefully these tools will help you, not only as an individual and on a personal level, but also as a team.
We've learned this hard way, and we decided to give you guys the tips that we've learned along the way. So
Okay. So I think,
is there any questions?
I think we're ready to like wrap up.
Have any questions?
Fantastic. All right. I just have to say, you guys are fantastic. This was so good. Like, even from, and I don't know, can you all unshare your screen? Because I'm not sure if I can turn you off or if you have to actually unshare. Oh, fantastic. Great. So look, we do actually have a couple of questions. This was fantastic. Look, even myself as a professional, like I sometimes forget, you students, you're in school all day long, and then you're doing FRC and all of your other extracurricular activities. So my goodness, in terms of time management, wow, like you guys have it all over us adults, because this is craziness, right? This was such key stuff that even myself in project management, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm taking notes and thinking, what can I do? This is great. So we've got a few questions in the chat room. So I'm going to start with the first one, and I'm actually going to reframe this just a bit from what I saw in the chat room, and just frame it around, you have a team and you have quite a few students and everybody's assigned XYZ, right? How do you work with maybe team members, or how do you handle team members who aren't quite managing their time the way the team is? How does that work?
That's very tricky. Like,
it's difficult,
especially if you're a student, like, if you're a student yourself, you're not at that level to say to someone, hey, you, like, you need to pick up your game, especially if you're not at that level. It can be quite difficult, because working in a team, you're only as strong as, your weakest person. So if you're seeing someone who's not committing, it can be quite frustrating and difficult to, to like deal with things and get tasks done.
So what we normally do is sometimes we, if we're seeing it happen in front of us, we would go up to them and just ask, nicely ask. You don't need to yell at them. Just, what are you doing? Like, do you have anything to do? If you don't see them doing anything, just give them a job to do. There's a lot of things to do. Could even be cleaning out the workshop. Somebody needs to do it.
This is always something that needs
to do it. So just put them to some use. Or if they're in a certain sub team, they might not be doing something because they don't have anything to do. So like, maybe give them more responsibilities so they feel like they can be more into the team and things like that. Another method is to just completely avoid the situation altogether. So what we do is
maybe tell a mentor in that, your mentor or leader, if it is becoming a serious problem.
What we would do, we'd have like team meetings and explain to everyone, don't waste your time. If you don't have anything to do, go find something to do. Go ask someone, what can I do? It's not going to take up like a whole hour of the time. Just ask them, is there anything I can do? Like, would you like to give me a task? I can like help you out or something. Or they can just watch. If they're like a rookie or someone like that, it's nice for them to just sit with an experienced member and just watch them do something, and because there's a lot of things you can learn from just watching people, do things. And they can ask questions, be inquisitive, and learn along the way. And then all of a sudden they're picking it up themselves and they'll be leading the team.
So that's like another thing, we don't know what's going on with any other individual in our team, and if they're coming in, they're a bit lost, a bit unfocused, you can always go up to them and ask like, is everything okay? Do you know what we're doing today? Is there anything, do you know what you can do today? Do you need help doing it? And if you and your person, only if you're comfortable, go up to them and ask them, how can I help you get on track? And if you don't want to do that as a person, that's completely okay. You're entitled to that. And like you can go talk to a mentor, you can talk to a leader. And like Sarabi said, if you have briefings and team meetings, these sort of problems or issues can be addressed in those time periods. And hopefully it'll help that person get back on track. And just ensuring that there is good communication and that person is aware or has access to a media platform where they're able to communicate with everyone else and keep updated with the team is also really important. So hopefully that will help that person.
Excellent. Oh, good answers. All right, so the next question that we have from the chat room, they said it's great that your team considers commitments outside of FRC. We understand that. You guys are loaded, right, with everything, family and school and extracurriculars. So how do you manage changes to student availability during the build season, for example, at the end of school break?
That's difficult.
I think in Australia, build season starts while we're in our big 6-week holidays, right? And usually FRC students will be like, no, mom, no, dad, I am not going on that camp. I am staying at, I'm going to go do robotics. You push that aside. It's like, family camp? What? No,
I don't need to socialize. I'm going to robotics.
Those friends are all I need.
First.
So you tend to, in the holidays especially, you'll find that members are more available and you're able to get a lot more work done. And then as soon as school starts, everyone's like, that's it, I'm out. I've got tests, I've got to study, I've got to do this, and then everyone is having to go to school and spend more time there.
It's important when you set out your timeline, you take account for this, because people can't come as often in school times and things like that. So what you do is you spread out the tasks more, so you get more time to do this one task because we have less time to do it, right?
As a team, be prepared for a slowdown, especially when school starts. Or if if that as a team is something you really struggle with and you want to stop, you set that out in your expectations or your team guidelines and commitments and goal setting. You say, right, guys, I know that it is school school will be starting, but I really want to make sure that in the holidays, we had team meetings on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And during when school starts, we still want to maintain that Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And, maybe talk to team members and ask them who here is available to do that. Maybe your senior members, like in year 11 and 12, might not be able to do that. And you have to take that into account because they, I think, will be the most experienced and they will really be helping guide the team. So when you lose that, manpower
from those experienced members, then all of a sudden the team is confused and they don't know what to do. That's why it's really important that they pass on the experience and knowledge to the younger people. So
just be prepared for I guess a slowdown or have team expectations and say we know it is school, but this is a very big commitment, and have everyone prepared to acknowledge that and commit to robotics even when school is
so done. What we normally do is sometimes we have this one person to just understudy this other person, so they'll just always be following this person around because they want to do something that they're doing and they learn things like that. They ask questions. So we like to tell our rookies to just ask questions. Just keep asking questions because you learn a lot from that.
Especially as a rookie, you might feel really lost at first, but trust us, you guys are the most important because you're the future of the team.
Yeah. So wait, to go back to the question, I think we went on a tangent. So like to manage like the time of like if when you can come or when you can't come, it's important to like figure out like can I go to robotics today? Will I like not do this assignment? Will I like will I keep procrastinating till the last day and then start freaking out the night before? So
too many times that's happened.
Way too many times. So it's important that you sort out your priorities as much as you can, or you believe in your like ability to handle stress, and you go to robotics knowing that I will be stressed, but I can handle it. I think so. Yeah, that answered the question.
You did. Thanks so much. Okay, so and the last one I have from the chat room is this. So you mentioned sub teams. Do you encourage team members to join multiple sub teams or just one or two?
So what we do is we leave it up to the person's choice. Do you have many overlapping areas of interest? Some people do stay in just one team. That's fine.
And that's great, because what that allows is you to become super experienced and really enhance in that field. And you know, you become this like, I know a lot, and you can just walk in. Everyone can turn to. You can
walk in and spot errors around the whole entire field, because you know from experience, like that's wrong. Sorry, I'll fix it for you, or like I'll tell you how to fix it. Things like that. So you become very experienced. But we also allow like members to just go, okay, I like this. You know, this one girl in our team, like she loves she loves doing media. You know, she like makes videos and they're like amazing. But she also likes to do software. So like she can divide her time as much as possible between them. It's a little bit difficult because they're like two major important like sub teams, and you're like, how do I manage my time? What if one thing is I need to do something and I can't do something else because things like that. So if that does become the case, we have more than one person in each sub team, and like we're all friends, we talk. So if this person couldn't come because they had this really important video to do for the PRM team, the media team, and she couldn't do the software. So what happens is that she just says, oh, I'm sorry, I can't come to the software part. I have to do this media thing. And then and the other girl who's still in software, she's full-time in software, and she'll just she'll use like me like as a leader to help her guide her like on her own to do something in software, and then after that they'll sit down and talk, or they'll text each other, say, oh, this is what I did today. Communication, so overlapping fields. And
and it comes down to it being both a team and individual decision. As a team, you might decide, especially if you're like a very small team, only like 10 members, you might decide, really, I think it'd be best if we just have people sticking to the sub teams that they're in, so everyone can gain proper experience and become can learn these traits and the fields really well. But if you're quite big, you might find that some people here do have an interest, like Ivy, that's the girl. Ivy, she really enjoys PRM and software, and our team has the capacity to allow some people to overlap and move through. So that is something you need to decide as an individual. Do I have the time and am I capable of managing two fields as well as school and home and everything else? And sometimes what people decide is like, later on when they're not able to come as frequently, they might decide to look into another field.
So we don't have any rules or expectations in this area either. So we do have some people who are all rounders, like they just like to poke their head in everything. Okay,
which is really cool.
It's a nice thing. I mean, it's great. So they're just nice to have around, just a person to like give things to do, and they do them and they enjoy them and they like contribute to the end product, right? So so it is difficult for them to handle all these things, but they just like to just do anything. They're that kind of person. So
these are decisions you need to come to as a team.
We don't have any rules, basically, is what we're trying to say.
You might be able to, your team might prefer to have expectations set in place.
Excellent. So I think probably the biggest takeaway for me for this particular presentation on how to actually do time management is probably communication, because you guys mentioned communication.
Yeah, guys, so communication.
Drill it into your team.
The biggest thing.
But it's true, and you said corporates and businesses could definitely take a cue from that, because honest to goodness, I can say that that's probably the biggest thing, is people not being on the same page. And you're right, that can cost you time, right? When people aren't managing the communication, time is just wasted. So Pookie, And so, Robbie, thank you so very much. And thanks to Team 4802, Blacktown Girls High School. Unidentified moving machines. Is that, I think over the years, I think I've kind of gotten that memorized. Yeah. Thank you all so very much. And also we want to give a shout out to Ian Jessett down in South Australia, because he's been monitoring our chat room and doing some behind the scenes work for us tonight. So thank you all so much. Have a super duper Monday night. I hope the rest of your week is perfectly managed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it down on my checklist.
Yeah. Woohoo. High fives all the way around in the first division. Thank you guys so much. Have a super night. And thanks to all of you all for watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, girls, I think I ended the stream. We're good. Thank you all so much. This was so interesting. So I'll let you all go. I'm just going to go ahead and end everything up on this end, but you did very, very well. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a
It was
good
great,
evening.
fun experience.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, pause that.